You know that feeling when you're trying to find the perfect word to describe something, but it's just not coming to you? Well, today we're going to fix that. We're going to unlock some fantastic, everyday vocabulary, and we're going to do it by basically eavesdropping on a simple chat between two friends.
Seriously, think about it for a sec. That movie everyone loved but you thought was kind of meh? Or that new system at work that's just a total pain. What words do you actually reach for? Having the right word doesn't just make you sound smarter. It helps you make your point so much more effectively.
So let's do it. We're going to be flies on the wall listening to two friends, Sarah and David. They're just catching up, but you'll want to pay close attention to the words they use. These are words we can all steal for our own conversational toolkit. All right, first up, words for describing things. We're talking everything from actual physical stuff to more, abstract concepts.
Okay, so the first word that we hear pop up is bulky. I'm sure you've heard this one before. It's a great one.
At its core, bulky just means something's big and kind of awkward to handle. But here's where it gets really cool. You can use it for things you can literally touch and for things you can't.
And this is such a perfect example of how flexible this word is. David's complaining about a bulky new security system. You can picture that, right? Big, clunky, in the way. But then he uses the exact same word to describe the movie's dialogue as bulky, meaning it was just clumsy and didn't flow right. Same word, two totally different contexts. I love that.
All right, next word. This one is absolutely perfect for when something is just a letdown. It totally didn't live up to the hype.
And that word is mediocre. It's brilliant because it's not saying something is awful, but it's definitely not good either. It's just meh. Completely average, unimpressive. And this is precisely how David uses it to talk about that movie. He doesn't say it was terrible, he says it was incredibly mediocre. See how much more punch that has? It's a way stronger criticism than just shrugging and saying, it was okay.
Okay, let's switch gears. We've talked about describing things, now let's dive into describing feelings. How do these two talk about what's going on inside their heads?
So, when you really don't want to do something, you're kind of dragging your feet? The perfect word for that is reluctant.
Yeah, being reluctant just means you're unwilling, you're hesitant. You can almost feel yourself physically holding back, thinking, I really don't want to do this.
And what's so interesting here is just how many different situations this word applies to. I mean, look at this. David was reluctant to like a movie. Sarah was reluctant to try new software. David was even reluctant to take old jobs off his resume. It's such a common, very human feeling, right?
All right, this next word is one you for sure know, but the way Sarah and David use it is really, really interesting.
It's the word survive. And just listen to the range here. Sarah jokes about surviving the traffic, a small everyday annoyance. But then they also talk about surviving in a post-apocalyptic world, literally life or death. And then they bring it right back down to earth, surviving office politics, surviving the job market. It just shows you can use it for getting through any kind of challenge, big or small.
Okay, so we've got words for things and words for feelings. Now let's dig into the words they use to actually make a point and build an argument.
And this is a fantastic side-by-side. On one hand, you have David using exaggerate to be dramatic, right? Calling the traffic a nightmare. But on the other, he uses the word valid to argue that his critique of the movie is based in pure logic. It's about the bad pacing. So you've got one word for emotional impact and another for logical reasoning. Super useful.
Next up, a word you pull out when you want to state your opinion like it's just a plain, simple fact that everyone should already agree with.
It's obvious. When David says this, he's not just sharing an idea. He's presenting it as an undeniable conclusion. Using the word obvious is like saying, come on, you can see it too, right? The evidence is right there. It's a really powerful way to frame your point.
Okay, in our final section, let's see how Sarah and David use words to label people and their work, basically based on their status or skill level.
And we've got another great contrast here. Prominent is for high status, like an important, famous business magazine. But amateur is the exact opposite. It's a criticism that implies a total lack of skill. And that's exactly how David slams the movie script. Ouch.
Our last big word for today is a simple one, but it is so essential when you're talking about having different options and choices. It's variety.
Sarah uses it to give David some advice about his job search. She's basically saying, hey, you need more options, a wider range of possibilities. It's all about broadening your horizons, and you can use it for anything: jobs, movies, food, you name it.
And just like that, we're done. By just listening in on one simple conversation, we've picked up a whole bunch of really practical words. Words that can make our own conversations clearer and a lot more powerful.
So let's do a quick-fire recap of our new toolkit. We've got bulky, mediocre, reluctant, survive, exaggerate, valid, obvious, prominent, amateur, and variety. Oh, and let's not forget that bonus word they both kept using: weird. Perfect for describing pretty much anything that's a little bit off, right? What a fantastic list.
But here's the real question, isn't it? How are you going to use these? Which one of these words can you try out in a conversation today? Maybe you'll describe a bulky email, a mediocre lunch, or point out that someone in a meeting made a really valid point. Give it a shot. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.